Welcome back to the Living for His Glory podcast. I'm here with a good and new friend of mine, Joel Hayes. As we round out the Fireside Faith series, he's like the adopted brother of the series. Me, Justice, Avery, and Peyton, we met at the same time at the same fire. I met Joel a little bit later than that, but I've really enjoyed, as I said about the other three, getting to know him as well. He's been really cool to talk to and get to know. I've heard a little bit about your story, and I think that's cool. And I'm excited to hear what you're ready to say for us, certain lessons, certain stories. Maybe tug at some people's hearts a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. And just how that's showing up in your life, your ministry, and your time here at Trevecca. It's all four of you guys that I've had on here. You guys are all in your first semester. We're getting to that halfway point, more towards the end now. I'm really excited to see how this conversation goes. And after that, just how are you, my friend?
Good, how are you?
I'm all right. See, you also asked back how was
Yeah, I gotta be
know?
respectful.
Yeah,
I
100%.
don't just say good
Yeah.
and then I can leave it at that.
Yeah. Most people, they're like, oh, I'm good. And they go into a little bit. But like you and Peyton, you were like, how are you?
Oh, like they tell them like how they are,
Mhm.
actually. Oh,
Yeah.
I
Like,
got you.
but
I like to reflect the question.
that's good.
And then you go in depth later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. I'm gonna hand the reins off to you for a little bit, let you talk about your story and
Yeah.
how that's shown up in your life, how that's shaped and formed you, especially now just being in college, and we'll get into that.
Okay, sounds good. So my testimony started off, I grew up in the church. My mom and dad had always been Christians. They met at Baylor University Christian College.
Okay.
So they met,
That's
they
called
actually met
It's called Truett, right?
Baylor?
Yeah, their seminary is called Truett, I think.
I actually don't know, but they met like in a religion class.
Okay.
So they're like, that's very like cliche. They've
Yeah.
heard Christian
Of course.
parents, I guess. But then they moved back to Kansas City. So I grew up in Kansas City. I've like always been to church since I was young. I got baptized when I was about 9 or 10.
Okay, me too.
I made that decision myself. My mom obviously helped me, but I one day was like, you know what? I want to get baptized. When I got older, like 14 or 15, I realized I was like, maybe I probably shouldn't have got baptized. I should have waited till I was like more like sure in my faith. When I was 9 or 10, that was my decision.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I grew up as a Christian, kept being a Christian. I would say around freshman, sophomore year, things started to get a little difficult. It was more just the peer pressure of other people. I went to a public high school. So like the pressure of everyone doing all these things and I'm like trying to fit in, but also trying to be like an example for Christ at the same time, like trying not to get made fun of, but also trying to be example for Christ. So it was like a hard balance. So I would say like sophomore year, I made varsity soccer for my high school, which was pretty impressive because we won state that year. But ended up actually that I got made fun of a lot on that team. And I got hurt really on in that season, probably like a week. It was like my first game. I subbed in, first varsity game, got hurt, was out for the rest of the season. So that made things worse. That I was already like, you get picked on as the youngest on the team.
Yeah.
So that was definitely like already bad. Like
I
it was
got
already the
picked-
freshman year. Like it's
Yeah.
already bad that because I'm the youngest. There's 2 or 3 sophomores on the team.
Yeah.
We all got picked on. It wasn't just me. But as I got hurt, obviously it made it worse because I'm some little kid, little sophomore who's not even one of the better players. I'm just there because I'm good for a sophomore. And they can see like future me, but I'm not good right now, obviously. So being hurt, I was like the scapegoat. I was like, that was the lowest of the lowest. They were making fun of me. So at that point, like my self-confidence really lowered, like really went down. I started going away, straying away from God because it was more like, how do I fit in? Like, how do I become like these guys? How do I become cool and stuff like this? So I would try to fit in by cussing and all this stuff, right? It didn't work. It made things worse. So ended up around junior year, I went to a counseling session. My mom signed me up because she realized how low my confidence was in myself and how I wasn't putting much faith in God. So around junior year, I went and did this counseling with this pastor. He was like a pastor that also did like counseling sessions on the side. So I did meetings with him. I probably did 6 or 7 meetings. Had to throw that in there. But it was like 6 or 7 counseling
You
sessions.
dumb teenager.
I knew you'd get annoyed. That's why I threw it in there. But so after those sessions, we talked through some things. In each session, I felt like I was like getting closer to God, just the way he gave me like some tips and more like focusing on not like my identity and myself, which I thought that's what the whole thing would be about. But it was like obviously I was like, I'm not even having an identity myself, so why would I have an identity in something else? So I thought the whole thing would be like my identity and myself and how to grow that. But instead he like switched up on me and the whole thing was your self-identity, not even your self-identity, it was about your identity in God. So all 7 of those sessions were about my identity in God. And as I went through those sessions, I realized more and more like how much my identity was in God. And that just realizing that and learning through, I can't even explain like how, like what hit me. It's just I know I changed after that. And I know that my identity in myself was changed from like realizing that my identity in God. It wasn't me focusing on myself, it was me focusing on God, and God gave me my identity in myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just an effect. So fast forward junior, that was like probably the end of junior year when I finished that up. Junior year was probably the same as the sophomore year, just struggling and stuff. Senior year really changed. Summer went over summer break like after those sessions, and I had a little detox, whatever from how summer is. You get a little detox, but I get back senior year, and like I've grown a lot. Like I'm bigger. I'm more confident in myself. I hit the gym all summer. Like I'm bigger. Worked on soccer. I'm like one of the best players on the soccer team at this point. Senior year. So I'm like pretty confident in myself. I was doing Bible studies every day. So since senior year, I've just my entire senior year was great. I was confident in myself, confident in God, confident in who I am, and that's really led me to where I am now at Tribeca. I would say I've continued the same momentum since then.
Good.
So it's been a good story since senior year.
Good. There's something interesting. The things that happen when we gain renewed life.
Yeah.
Because the description that Jesus gives, especially when it comes to becoming a Christ follower, when it comes to being saved, is that we now have been born again. He described it as a new birth. And so when I've thought about it, when we get born into our lives,
Yeah.
before we're renewed, we're still children of God. That's the new life is what we are meant to have, but we're still confronted by the sinful ways of this world. We have sinful nature as human beings.
And I would throw in that everyone's sinful nature is different.
Yeah.
People struggle with different things.
That,
like
this is true.
And this is where the judging comes in. You're like, they do this, I don't do that.
Yeah.
But it's, they're judging you for the same exact thing because you do something else that
Yeah.
they don't do. And it's everyone does different sins.
It's really easy for me to look at a gay man and say,
you're gay and you should not be gay.
100%. It's as equally easy
Yeah.
for a gay man to look at me and be like, man, you objectify women. You're the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
Because
It's just like a different sin.
Yeah, we have two different
We
sins.
struggle with different people. So it's just, yeah.
100%. So it's don't try to get the speck in someone else's eye when
Yeah.
you have a plank in your own. We have that sinful nature.
Yeah.
A part of that is when we start questioning identity. Just because when you're growing up and you're getting taught things, you're trying to figure out your place in the world. You're trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what our movies are trying to teach us. I remember, you ever watched the movie Lion King?
Yes.
Right where he's getting done talking to his dead father, and that scene, his dad was like, that last whisper, remember who you are.
Yeah.
And immediately, I remember thinking about it later on in my life, and I'm thinking about, who am I? And you start looking intrinsically. You start looking about, for me, all right, I play golf. So I'm a golfer. I am kind to people. I love people. I'm a good person. And what happens is we create evidence that we see ourselves do or that we think about ourselves, and we think that's our identity.
Yeah.
What Christ means in the new life that he offers, because we try to work to gain our identity.
Yeah.
We try to do work, and then our identity is that work that we do. Christ did the work, and our identity does not come from things that we need to go do. It has come from things that has already happened
from Christ. Yeah. And I think that's where the sophomore thing came in when I got hurt. And that's where it went down, is because my identity was probably rooted in soccer at that point. So sophomore year, it's like, identity's rooted in soccer, and then you lose it, you're out for the year or whatever. It's what else do you have? If I'm not rooted in Christ, I don't have anything. If I'm already rooted in soccer.
Do you know the theologian and author Timothy Keller?
I do not.
Tim Keller, okay. So Tim Keller wrote this 50-page book, like very small. It's not like a big 50-page book. It's like a little like a handbook, fit in your palm of your hands. It's called The Freedom of Self-Forgetfulness. And I went through that book. It was through the whole course of February. It's 4 chapters long. If you sat down and read it cover to cover, it'd take you no more than an hour and a half.
How long did it take you, though?
I broke it up into chunks. So I read like a chapter every week and discussed it with a mentor of mine. I might have to introduce you to him. Have you heard of Athletes in Action?
Oh yeah, I actually heard of that.
Yeah. He's one of the guys there. He's one of the head guys there.
Okay, he runs it. Is it kind of like it's kind of like FCA, right?
Kind of like that. Yeah. I can introduce you to him. He's great.
Very cool.
And so we went through that book, and he talked about the natural condition of the human ego. But what it became for me was a source of where my identity is.
Yeah.
Because even today, I struggle with my identity being in a score on the golf course. How well did I do? Am I in the top five? Because only the top five get to go to a tournament. Am I in the top five? Am I not in the top five? If I'm not in the top five, then I
Then
suck.
I'm
I'm a bad
nothing.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on this and this and this, and it's just a downward spiral to go on.
Yeah.
And what I learned from reading that book was one of the big takeaways I took from that book was just if it's not from God, it's not real.
Explain that.
Do you believe that the Bible is the Word of God, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we know that God is a source of infallible love,
Mhm.
infallible knowledge, and infallible truth.
Yeah.
Then why would we not believe what He says?
Yeah.
We wouldn't, right?
We would.
We
Yeah.
would, but
Yeah.
there's no good reason for us to.
Yeah.
And so when God writes, when God says, you are beautifully and wonderfully made, like He said in the book of Psalms, why
Yeah.
wouldn't we believe that?
Yeah.
When God calls us His beloved child, why would we not believe that?
Yeah.
When God said that He loves us, why would we not believe
I
that?
think that's where some people the doubt comes in.
Yeah.
Where you think you're not good enough or something.
Yeah.
And it's not just sports. It's I
Yeah.
didn't get a grade on this. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because none of that in the end none of that matters.
100%.
And that's where also like I was talking with someone about this earlier. This is like a more of a person to person instead of a person to a sports or like identity in that. God tells us to obviously love everyone and He's loving us and we're all beautifully made. If you think this kid's weird and you don't go and talk to him because you think he's weird or you think he's odd or he's different than you, then you're doing just as bad as putting your identity in soccer or golf or anything. Your identity is in I'm cooler than this guy. And that's a different identity, but it's an identity that I'm cooler than this guy. I'm not going to talk to him because he's a weirdo or he's not as cool as me. Or if I talk to him, I'll look bad in front of all these people. And it's you don't have to be friends with everyone, but why I want you to be friends with everyone. But you don't have to be like good friends with everyone. But I don't at the same time, you got to be able to you want to be able to talk to everyone and love everyone and not just love people who you think will fit into your schema.
Have you ever heard of the pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell?
I'm not.
He's a pastor in North Carolina, I believe. His church is called, I think it's 2819. He's really good. The way he puts things is great, but also the way he speaks is great. So much passion. I love him. He's honestly getting a lot of traction on social media. Anyways, I remember I was listening to one of his sermons, and he said in the sermon that access is limited.
Yeah.
People that have access to you is limited because we can't have. It's just a boundaries thing.
Yeah.
But love is not limited. Love does not have
You
boundaries.
can love across the world, actually.
100%.
Now with social media and stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I love people. I do my best to choose to love everyone I come in contact with, but
No one has to receive it. You just can give it, and they can choose to receive it or not.
that, but also they might not have access to it. If they receive it, they may not have access to me.
Yeah.
Just because I'm going to be your friend and I'm going to show you love does not mean you have total access.
That doesn't mean you can, yeah. And that's also not giving yourself away. Like respecting yourself enough to be kind to everyone, but at the same time, you don't have to be friends with everyone, but at the same time, not being scared because, oh, this guy's going to make me look bad.
Yeah. So it's simply just loving them the way Jesus would.
And that's what He would do. He would talk to everyone. And that's why it talks in the Bible, the rich, the poor. He talked to, I'm forgetting his name now, Zechariah in the tree.
Yeah, that's right.
He was in the tree because he was short. No one liked him. Because he was a tax collector. But Jesus still talked to him.
Yeah, that's right. What was a really big thing when you talked about the switch in confidence, the switch in identity? Is there something that really stood out to you that caused that mental switch?
I wish there was something I could grab onto and tell you that made me switch from my identity like that. But I just really don't have. I just don't. I know it's a God thing. Like I know it's not. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
It wasn't me that made that switch because there's nothing I did differently. I went to I guess there's definitely like a thing where God like He puts obviously you have to do the work, but God does the work. I'm trying to put this in the right way. You're doing the work. You're both doing the work. It's not just. I know it's all God doing the work, and I agree with that. I'm not one of those people that's saying like that God's not doing all of it because I know He is. But at the same time, you have to put in the effort to go reach what God's giving you.
It's 100.
So you have to, if you're not willing, if you're going to lay on the couch and I'm not going to go to these counseling sessions, I would have stayed the same way. I had to go and get up to go to the counseling sessions. And once I go to the counseling sessions, it's all God. And that's what I'm trying to say. You've got to be able to get out of the couch and go do it yourself.
Let me help you. Can I help you?
Yeah.
So I think about it in terms of a relationship. If you want a successful relationship, you both have to give 100% of what you got.
Yeah.
100%.
Even if it's 20%, 100% of the 20%.
Exactly.
That's where you're going with it, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Because while I'm giving 100% to my relationship, Sometimes I got a bad day and I'm just not fully present.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got a bad day and I'm just not there. Sometimes my girlfriend has a bad day. But even if 80% of my 100 is, if I'm giving 100% and it just happens to be 80, then I'm going to give that 80 the best way that I can.
Yeah.
And she might have to give 120 to make up for that, but like it's both giving as much as you're able to give, and at the end of the day, if you keep giving, that's going to be what works.
Yeah.
The thing about God is God's so cool that God's way more powerful than me and you and can do way more works than me and you can. He's always going to give us 100%. The only time that there's that schism and that disconnect is if we're not giving God 100%.
Yeah.
So we're going to give God 100%, and God is always going to give us 100%. And if we're both giving 100% to each other, things just work.
That's when it's the best.
Yes.
But that doesn't happen a lot of the times.
No, because we're fallen people.
Exactly.
And we take our eyes off of God, and we want to take things the easy way.
And I would go as far as to say, I don't know if 100% from us ever happens.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that because I know that we aren't perfect. And I know it's a hard thing to say, but I don't think we ever give 100% to God. Because if you think about it, to give 100% to God means you're not sinning all day. That doesn't, I guess, you're not, I would put it forward to say everything you're doing is for God. And I feel like we as people try that. We try to give everything towards God and we're doing good. We're getting like 80% of that. We're doing 90% of that. But I would say, I don't know if anyone ever reaches 100% because to do 100% of what God's giving to us is like giving 100%, which is literally in every action of our day. It's like about God, which is really hard for us to do. Which I don't know if we're always doing that.
Are you familiar with the book of Romans?
Yeah.
Romans 7?
Yeah.
So Romans 7:18 it says, Paul's writing, "For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out."
Yeah.
So Paul is writing that he mentions that I do or I do what I don't want to do, and I don't do what I want to do.
Yeah.
He craves that holiness, that sinlessness, but he just
can't reach it. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't do it. That's not saying, because I don't think anybody can ever say Paul did not give 100%.
Yeah.
With the amount of the Bible that he's written, with the things that he's done, with the amount of theology that we've gained from Paul, all the way to the point where I believe he got martyred in 64 AD, if I remember my dates correctly. He was martyred in 64 AD. So martyred, wrote a large part of our New Testament, including what I just wrote in Romans, and all the theology that comes with it. He was giving 100% effort, but even he was admitting, just because I'm giving 100% effort does not mean I'm sinless.
Yeah.
In fact, it means
and that goes back to our other topic where you're like 100% of 80%, which is because like Paul obviously is not at 100% all the time. So you're giving 100% of 80%.
Yeah, let's say
which is not 100% in God's eyes. I'm just going to say that. But I guess that's what he wants to see. He wants to see that, but back to what I was saying earlier, the 100% is not his 100%.
Yes.
Like we can nowhere ever reach what his 100% is. So that's what I was trying to talk about earlier is that our 100% is nothing compared to his 100%. Even when we feel like we're giving 100%, we're giving 100% of 95%.
Yeah.
Or something like that. We're never giving 100 of 100.
God will just pick up where we fail because of that effort.
And he's giving 100 of 100. That's what God is doing.
God is demanding, but when we fail, God is more than willing to pick up the slack. Because the transformation that God provides, when we talked about how we will fail, because we just can't give that 100% perfection. But when the 100% effort was there, even though the 100% perfection was not there, that's where God picks up the slack. I love what you meant by God changing your heart because you can't.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite food?
On the spot, mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
Yeah. Like on the spot. Like if you gave me more depth, it would be a little answer. But on the spot, mushrooms.
Okay, so let's say I put a plate of mushrooms in front of you. And I said, okay, I need you to eat these mushrooms. Could you do it?
And I would tell you why.
That's fine. Could you do it?
I could do it, yes.
Okay, you could force yourself to eat the mushrooms.
I could eat the mushrooms.
All right, Joel. I put that plate of mushrooms back in front of your face, and I said, okay, I want you to enjoy eating these mushrooms.
And I would say, why? Again.
Okay, and I would ask you, could you force yourself to enjoy eating the mushrooms?
I would say no.
Because you can't do what?
I can't enjoy the mushrooms because I don't like mushrooms.
Because you can't change your taste buds.
Exactly.
Your taste buds change by themselves sometimes, but you yourself cannot force them to change.
Yeah, I agree.
The same thing with our hearts.
Yeah, we can't force our hearts to change.
But God can.
We can put our heart in a place to be changed, open the door. But at the same time, God's obviously helping open the door. I wouldn't say he's not part of that too, but there's definitely a part where you have to open the door too.
Yeah.
But then once the door is open, it's not you anymore. A good analogy I heard one time was God's always driving the car and you're in the passenger seat. You're still front view. You're still seeing everything that's going on because you're the one. It's your life, obviously, but it's not. But God's in the driving seat. But your hand is on the wheel sometimes and you're helping drive. But he has two hands on the wheel at all times. And you're putting one hand on the wheel, then you're letting go. You're putting one hand on the wheel and you're letting go. You're helping, but you're not the one leading. You're not the one driving the car.
Yeah.
Or same with you ever been to like driver's ed when they have the brake? You have the brake? You have the brake on your side. You can brake, but God's driving. You can brake whenever you want, but then he's the one that has two hands on the wheel.
I think how it applies to how it did apply to your situation, how it would apply to that. I want to change my confidence, but nothing really did it. Nothing in particular was like,
Yeah.
man, that was the lightning bolt. You did the work. You put in the effort, meeting with that pastor,
Yeah.
trying to take it and apply it to your life. You could try to force yourself into the roles of, okay, he told me this, I'm gonna go apply it to my life.
Yeah.
But it was God changing and working your heart in that
In the
allowed
moment,
you,
yeah.
that allowed you to gain that kind of, we'll call it ultimate confidence.
Yeah.
In yourself and who you.
It was just in God, and that fed into other things.
Was there something in particular that you started believing about yourself that made you engage with your life with that confidence?
I had obviously lots of self-confidence issues sophomore year, but some of them were like how I looked or like it was just simple stuff, like little stuff. And that definitely, you're asking like how it changed or?
I'm asking how God changed you as a person that allowed you to then change in every aspect of your life, whether that be when you went to school, whether you went to soccer, whether you went home and engaged with your family, and all aspects.
I could be myself.
You could be yourself.
Yeah, that was it. That was the confidence thing. It was like once I found my identity in God, I realized like I could just be myself. Like I don't have to care. I don't have to care what all these people think. Why would I care what all these people think if they're not the one that's judging me?
That's exactly right.
I guess that's the main thing that changed literally everything, is realizing like who cares what this person think? Like obviously like you want to be nice to everyone, but also at the same time, who cares what they think? I guess love them, but who cares what they think?
It does, and this is something that you'd find in that book. It does not matter what somebody else says about you.
Yeah,
which is what we hear that a lot. That's a half truth. It's not the full thing. Because when people say that, they say, "Okay, it doesn't matter what somebody else says about you. Don't believe that. Think about what do you think about
what does
you?
God think about it?
That's it. That's it. Because it doesn't matter what you say about you.
It doesn't even matter what I say about myself.
People may not love you all the way, and people don't know you all the way, but you do know you all the way.
But also, if you use only your own thoughts, that you're using other people's thoughts because they're filling in. They're filling in your brain. So you're like, someone tells you, oh, you suck at soccer. You're going to fill in and you're like, I think I'm great at soccer. So you're going to find the balance. You're going to be like, your final answer to yourself. And you tell yourself, do I think I'm good at soccer? I'm all right at soccer. Because you heard bad and you heard good from yourself. So you're going to find the balance. But when you got God telling you, you don't really care about that. Yeah. You don't even care about if you're good at soccer or not. You just know that you're a great person.
Yeah, because it's ultimate truth.
Exactly.
You know, back when I was going on earlier, you may know yourself, but that means you also know the deepest, darkest parts of you. Which means you in our nature just won't 100% love ourselves because we think that part of us is unlovable.
Yeah, same with like social media. Everyone broadcasts their highlights and you go stalk their profile and you're like, this person's freaking amazing.
Yeah, that is.
And then you look at yourself, and when you scroll through your Instagram, you're clicking on all your posts and you're scrolling through your comments. You're like, man, I look like an idiot. The person looking at your profile probably thinks you're awesome too. But you're only thinking this because you're knowing each interaction from each comment, and you're knowing what happened, who you are, what they've said to you before, and you're thinking about all this when you're reading through your stuff, and you're like, man, I'm actually a loser. But all these people that are looking at your profile think you're amazing. Yeah, and there's a constant change. There's a change. There's always like somebody. They may say something about you, and then the next day say something completely different. Same thing about you. There have been times I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I'm the man. Yeah. I'm it. I'm him. I'm the whatever. There's sometimes I wake up and I'm like, man, I suck. Yeah. I'm a horrible human being. I got a terrible grade on this test, and I'm the worst person ever. But God's reliable. Yeah. That's why he's consistent. He is consistent. He's not just consistent. He does not fail. Yeah. Like in consistency, there's a permission to fail sometimes. I do it most of the time, like 90% of the time. God does it all the time. Yeah. He ain't consistent. That's where the 100% comes back in. Yeah. Always 100%. Yes. And so if he's always saying that, if he's that reliable and that authoritative, and he's also that source of unlimited truth, love, and knowledge that he is. Yeah.
then there's just something to what he's saying.
Yeah. And you got to listen to it.
Yes. And if we can truly achieve that and know that and understand that, we're going to live life on a so much better playing
Yeah.
field. You ever been in practice or a game, you mess up, you're like, man, I suck.
Yeah. Plenty of times.
Plenty of times. Is that,
I could probably, it's probably like triple digit.
would God ever say that?
No, he would never say that.
If God would not affirm that, then why would it be true?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be. It just wouldn't be. Are you thinking about where that shows up in your life?
I'm actually not.
No. What are you thinking about? Just thinking about something?
Just thinking.
Thinking about nothing?
Thinking about nothing. I'm just pondering what we've been talking about.
Broke 'em.
Just thinking about it.
That's good. I've enjoyed this.
Yeah,
I've
this is
enjoyed
fun.
this. This has been fun. You see why I like to do this?
Yeah, I do. I like it.
Just having smart, intelligent guys. That's why I like you.
Yeah.
Because you were somebody that we welcomed in later. So you're not an OG, but I like you because I like how intentional that you are.
Yeah.
I like how intelligent that you are. How many people in your class do you think could sit down and have a conversation as intelligent as this one?
I couldn't tell you.
Do you know who Ben Newman is?
No, I don't.
Ben Newman is a performance coach. He was a performance coach for Alabama when they won 2 of their championships.
What do you mean performance?
He basically kind of like a mindset coach, mental coach.
Oh, so he's just like an all athlete, like
Yeah.
mental. It was more like a mental guy. I guess.
Yeah. So he was with Alabama football for 2 of their national championships. I forget what year. He was with the Patriots when they beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. Right now, I remember when I met him back in June, he was still working for the Indiana Fever, but I think they're in the off season now. He's been working with Kent State. So he works with a lot of professional athletes, a lot of aspiring professional athletes. He's got some really good stuff. And I remember I met him at this conference and I listened to him speak. His story really spoke out to me. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And then there was like this meet and greet after the whole conference in the evening. And I remember he was signing one of his books for me. And I was just like, hey, Mr. Newman, looked him in the eyes, started just talking to him. I really love your story. This is what it meant for me, stuff like that. And he looked back at me. And this is a guy that's worked with Tom Brady,
Yeah.
Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, a bunch of these just all-time greats. And he looked at me, he goes, I know, like, you're going to be successful. You're going to be great. You're going to be successful.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's
what?
pretty
Like,
awesome.
yeah.
It's also Warren Buffett. Have you seen the video? I don't know if it was him or Bill Gates. There's like a video going around and it's like one of his employees or
Mhm.
whatever. And his employee goes, "What's up?" He doesn't say anything to him, just ignores him.
Mhm.
And that's the exact opposite of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's actually a really good example of humility,
Yeah.
being so far up there working with all these people and you're
Mhm.
still respectful enough to respect someone who's, I wouldn't say you're low end, but
I'm
you're not
not.
Tom Brady. You're
Yeah,
not
I'm
Tom
not,
Brady.
no.
It's
The
like,
reason he told me that was just because I was able to look at him
yeah,
as a at the time 20-year-old kid. A lot of people even like my age at 20, and I'm 21 now,
Yeah.
but a lot of people my age, they're still all about the party life, the fun life. They're going into adults, but they were raised in such a way growing up that they're afraid to go up and talk to people.
yeah.
And that's really the mission of
Well,
our faith anyway, just going up and talking to people.
There's that, and there's the people that totally switch personalities when they're talking
Yeah.
to people their age and adults. Actually, that's my new pet peeve now. I just thought
It's-
about that. That's my new pet peeve.
awful. It's
That's my
awful,
new pet
isn't it?
peeve.
It's awful.
It's my new pet peeve.
It's like, who's the genuine? Like, why are you so scared of an adult?
Yeah, they turn into a marketing voice, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
all
I
right.
hate that.
Don't do
I
that.
hate that. But he said, just because you're able to meet me in my eyes, talk to me intentionally, those kind of things, that's how I know that you're going to be great and successful
Yeah.
because that's how people get that way.
Yeah.
And making the connections and making connections is a huge tool and pathway for success. It just is. And I'm talking to somebody that's trained the best of the best, the goats of their own categories.
Yeah,
It just gave me a nice little insight. It was incredibly encouraging, don't get me wrong.
yeah,
But it gave me a nice insight to who those people were, the characteristics. I've never met Tom Brady. I've never met Nick
Yeah.
Saban. I've never met the successful people, the highly successful
but
people.
they were all intentional. That's
Yes.
just how they got in contact with
In their
them.
training, yes, but also just in the connection. They're intentional with reaching out to people, being intentional with that, going up. Like, you can't have a team captain. You can't have a leader and then being scared to go talk to their team.
Yeah.
Hard conversations are a requirement as a captain. Pissing off your teammates as a captain or your players as a coach is in a lot of ways a
Really,
requirement.
it's also helpful.
It is helpful. And you got to do that in healthy ways.
Yeah. Don't be like doing it just to be
Yeah.
annoying or
Yeah. Don't do it just to be a pain, but do it for the help and growth of your teammates.
Yeah.
If I'm talking to a teammate and I have to be like, hey man, I've seen you show up this way in the golf course or in practice. To me, it's looked really lazy.
Yeah.
It looks like you don't care. I know you're better than this. I want you to be better than this. The team needs to be better than this. And I know that the team can be better than this. The team can have success.
But also at the same time, on doing that, also, first of all, God obviously wants us to have accountability for other people, which is why he gives us church and gives us community for accountability for that purpose.
Yeah.
But another thing is on top of the accountability part, it's instead of coming up to him being like you're lazy and you're doing all this, after you say you're like you've been lazy and trying to help the team, open up the conversation and be like, what's been going on?
Yeah.
Because you never know what that person's going through. So as on top of telling them what you think, let them open up the conversation. They could say something like, my grandma died.
Yeah.
Mom died. I've been going through it.
100%.
Just open up the conversation and then you make it. That's the intentional part. Then you're making that connection.
Yeah.
And then you're making that connection with that person and you know that person better. And then you can figure out how to solve that problem together. And that's what the accountability is. The accountability is not telling them what you think, but the accountability is you both having that conversation and then coming back and being like, oh, they had this going on. They had this going on. And then you're connecting better.
Yes. That's just the nature of being a loving person.
Yeah.
Because people will accept and listen to people that they know cares and loves about them more than they will if they just think that you're trying to be a pain. I'm glad you covered that detail because that's just a part of it.
Yeah.
If you see somebody slacking, call accountability, that's fine. But make sure that you're still being a loving teammate and brother, yes, and still connecting to them.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe they've just been feeling lazy and you talk to them that way.
Like you never know. And that's where sports is actually helpful. Connecting.
Yeah.
Helps you make those conversations because you're having something to connect about.
Yeah.
You're having something that they're doing wrong, and that's a way to fix something. That's a way to connect, and that's a way to communicate. And you can use communication in literally everything. Yeah. And that's why communication is one of the most important parts, like to God and to other people. That's how you get a good relationship with not just like finding a wife or anything, but in relationships with all your friends. Yeah. And relationships with your parents and your relationships with your coworkers throughout your life, because that's going to be communication is one of the most important skills. Yeah.
Our faith is such a highly relational one.
Yeah. That's why I really like how the Bible's built around. Like the Bible's not just like you can apply it to faith stuff all the time, and it is like mostly faith stuff, but it's also like how important, like it talks about communication in the Bible, and you just realize how much the Bible is including stuff that that God wants you to use in the real life. Like he knows he knows that communication is helpful for relationships. Yeah. That's why he talks about it so much, and he talks about communication with it's honor your father and mother relationships. And he's including these things in the Bible, and he's including them back because communications, and he knows this, it's one of the most important skills. That's why he talks about it so much.
Where does that show up in your life?
Like communication or?
Yeah. How has that helped you in your life with not just your own faith, but helping people maybe with theirs?
Being able to communicate, I wouldn't say there's not like a specific time where I can remember, I led this person. I 100% led this person to Christ. I don't think I've ever had a moment like that. I've had moments where I've led people to put it in their heart and they actually did become Christians later. I brought people to church and they became a Christian like a couple months down the road, but it wasn't me. It wasn't me that did that. No. And I was like, my communication was the one that brought them to church, and that's what I used it for. But it wasn't me that. Yeah. Like I don't have a person where I'm like, oh, it was all me. I communicated like to them, I guess.
Christ saved them, but he gives us an opportunity as a loving God who put us here for a purpose. Yeah. To be a gateway that he uses to do that. Yeah. Could he just do that? Absolutely. Paul didn't get somebody else. Paul didn't have a mediator, but God just blinded the guy and said, "You're going to do this."
Yeah. Paul had to. He's like, "Yeah, I had to."
100%. But and God still has that power and authority. But we as Christians, he has gifted us the power to be an instrument, be a tool to be used by him to create pathways that he can now save the lives of the people around us. Yeah. Friends, family, maybe even, I wouldn't say maybe even, I'd say especially quote unquote enemies.
Yeah. I love my analogies, so I'm going to throw another one in.
Please.
But this is like a good way of the connection, the communication. But God's the roots. There's a tree, big oak tree. God's the roots. For your tree, you're the main stump. You're the main stump. God's the roots. But there's also the roots that connect to every other tree, which is every other person and their roots. But also the tree goes up, you're the main like of your own life. And each branch goes out and each leaf's a different person you connected to. And that's a good way to use your communication. I would say that's why this is like an analogy, obviously, but some trees are going to have more leaves than others. Some are going to be communicating more. But that doesn't mean one tree is less important than the other tree. There's trees that look just as pretty as other trees, and they have way less leaves than a tree that has more. And this is all analogy, so don't take this literally.
Yeah.
But there's trees that are just as pretty as a tree, like a larger tree that has more leaves, but they're all trees and they're all amazing trees.
Dance beautifully in the circle that you were given.
Yeah. Even if it's, and that's why it goes back to just because you bring less people to Christ doesn't mean you did less work than someone else.
Yeah. Still giving 100% effort in just whatever situation.
In what circle you were at.
Yeah. Absolutely. Are you familiar with Kobe Bryant?
Yeah.
Do you know how he defined greatness?
I think I read the Mamba mentality. I just forgot. Was it hard work?
No. He defined the Mamba mentality simply by doing every single day trying to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
He defined greatness by your ability to inspire the person next to you. Who will
moving the next person up. Yeah.
Who will in turn inspire another person.
And he did that.
Yeah, he did. At the very end of his career.
Yeah, but you could, I don't know. I would argue against that. I think he started doing that earlier. Early career, obviously, he was focused on himself. But I'd say mid-career, you could start to see him focusing on building his teammates up because he knows he can't do it all. He obviously knows he's the best one out there, but he knows he can't do it all. That's where he, in mid-season, like mid of his career, he's starting to build to that. He's trying to build up other players and make them better so he can help. They can help him. It's all like about himself, obviously, because he's not like a. Was he a Christian?
He was raised Catholic.
But he wasn't like a strong. That wasn't his faith.
He didn't talk about his faith a lot.
But I wouldn't say his faith was a big part. So that's more of a worldly view of it. It's like he was building other people up for himself.
Yeah.
Which is different than what we want to do, which is build people up for themselves.
Yeah. He wanted to win championships.
So I'm not saying he's a bad role model.
No, he just wanted to build championships. And I'm sure there's a bit of selfish ambition in that, but also he wanted that for his teammates.
Yeah.
He wanted them to be unified and go at it together. And he had to learn how to do that and be a leader as he grew and matured. He came into the league at 18 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had to learn how to do that. He didn't officially become the full mentorship mode until later in his career, but like I definitely see like his leadership styles with going back to back with that team with Powell. Some of his teammates may not have always found him encouraging.
Yeah.
And life building.
Same with Jordan. Jordan was not encouraging.
No.
Jordan was the least encouraging person ever.
Yeah. That just comes from I'm trying to do what's best for you and for the team.
Yeah.
That's what Jordan was after. That's what Kobe was after. Just winning in the success of the team themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I was reading this earlier, and it's Matthew 5, and it talks about the salt and the life. How we were talking about earlier, how we're all built in a different circle, like we're all like put into a different place. And then one of them was, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds. Each room has a different lamp, and I threw this in as like a kitchen has a light, room has a light. And this is like back to the circle that we were talking about. Everyone's put in a different circle. You could be the lamp in the living room. I could be the lamp in the living room. You're the lamp in the kitchen. We're in different rooms, but we're doing the same task. We're lighting up the room.
Mm-hmm.
And if we throw ourselves underneath and turn off our light, we're like, what's the point of having you in the kitchen if you're off?
Yeah.
What's the point of having me in the living room if I'm off? There's a light in every part of the house, and they're all doing different things.
Yeah.
One light's a little less bright. One light's more bright. One's focusing on a little thing. One's focusing on a broader thing, but it's less bright. Every light's doing a different thing. And that was what I read this morning, and I was realizing, like reflecting on it, that we're all like different. We're all like the hands and feet of Christ, and kind of like each of us plays a different role in the body. Like I could be the arm and you're the hand, the finger. Each part of your body is important, but we need all of the parts of the body
to be fully functional.
Yeah,
absolutely. So God worked in your life confidence.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing. You've grown tremendously because of that. You've grown tremendously in him because of that. But let's say you continue to do that. You continue to grow and work in that, and it's been great, awesome, fantastic, proud of you. But what good does that do if that is not passed on?
Like to someone else or
if you don't spread that.
Yeah.
It does some good.
It goes good for me, but it's selfish.
It does some very little good, at least in comparison to what it could do.
Yeah.
That passage is a very core piece of my podcast and why I do stuff like this, why I'm doing stuff like this, because the stuff that God has worked in me and in my life, the testimonies that I have, the life I've lived, the lessons I've learned in those, that's great that they're working in me and I'm growing closer to Christ because of that. But it does no more. I'm limiting God's greatness if I'm limiting it to myself.
Yeah.
And so I do stuff like this, have conversations like these, bring guys like you on here because I want this to spread.
Yeah.
Because I want us to be salt and light. And I want what God has worked in us to now begin working in somebody else and helping them.
That's really funny you said salt, because I was thinking the salt and life that's in that passage
Exactly.
before, and it talks about how we're supposed to be like, I was using this analogy, like salt's the flavor of a food. Without it, it's like you're missing the flavor. And without us like multiplying the salt, everyone else is just basic food.
Mhm.
And without us like putting flavor on that, which is God, obviously, we're the salt. We're supposed to flavor the world. In the analogy term, I love my analogies.
100%, yeah.
But we're supposed to flavor the people to love God and whatever. And if you're not spreading the salt, and you're one piece of salt's not going to do anything on it.
Yeah.
On a thing of eggs, if you put 1 grain of salt on an egg, like it's not going to change the flavor of the egg. The egg's going to change when there's a ton of salt, and then salt has to spread because you have to spread the salt.
It's cool. Absolutely. Man, I think that's a really good place for us to end today's episode. I think, and we're just going to make that our challenge of the week. Like, let's go and be a salt. Let's go be a light to somebody else. Let's
spread
go
the
and
salt.
Fill their life with flavor. Let's go and spread that message, spread that gospel. Go make friends. Go talk to them. Go be a part of their lives. And whatever God has been working in you,
And wherever He's put you,
go and do that. Wherever you are, wherever you are, what God has been working in you, go live that. Go do that. Go teach that. Go help people who might need that.
Need the love.
Go and spread it, and go dance beautifully in the circle that God has called you to dance beautifully in.
I agree. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Joe, I really enjoyed it. It was great. I appreciate you coming on. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
This was nice. That's it for Fireside Faith. Next week, we're going to be having a new guest on here, and we're going to start a new little mini series there as well. I haven't decided on a name yet. I'll tell you guys as soon as that comes out. But one thing I know, with the guests I have lined up, I'm really excited for this one, just as I have been really excited for Fireside Faith, and I'm sad that it's gone now.
Yeah,
absolutely. Man, I appreciate you for coming on again. I can't wait to see you guys next week. Live out that challenge. Go be the salt and light wherever God has called you to be that salt and light. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Living for His Glory. I had such an amazing time making it, and I really hope it connected and impacted you on a significant level. I love making and recording episodes like these. I truly believe that they fulfill the Living for His Glory mission, which is to help you break free of your worldly chains and step into the person that God has called you to be. I love you guys. I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I hope that it changes something about how you do this week. I hope you have a good day and a good week as we continue to get ready for next week's episode. Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you later.